Hi guys. Today I'm sitting here with professional MMA fighter Joe Solecki. As you know, I am pretty big on dreams and really trying to inspire people to go after what they want after they first identify it and trying to make a change in the world. And every time I think of Joe, he is so inspirational to me. He followed his dreams at all costs, and we're going to get into that in about a second. So Joe and I met about 3.5 years ago in a parking lot. My kids were looking for a new gym to train in for jiu-jitsu, and we met Joe on a Sunday, and ever since then, we just kind of bonded with him. He hadn't started MMA fighting yet. You were competing in jiu-jitsu, so I'm going to let you go ahead and take over from here.
Yeah, so it was a Sunday, which, is most people's day off, so I think that already goes for, talking about dreams and how, kind of the universe aligns for you, right? If I'm not doing a little extra work, then I don't meet you guys, and you guys are, probably definitely two of the most influential people in my life, and, I was walking out, and you guys were driving by, and you were looking for martial arts. I think the boys were in karate, right?
Yes.
Yeah, boys were in karate, and then basically my whole mindset was, I was just teaching some classes. I wasn't trying to make a sale or anything like that. There was no commission involved. It was just wanting to get 2 kids in the door, because I know what jiu-jitsu can do for kids and martial arts in general. And I was just like, oh yeah, come on, I immediately wanted to, because you guys just give off you guys seem like respectful, polite, successful people, So my biggest concern with you guys was I don't want you to think of the bad side of mixed martial arts, or the UFC gives sometimes a Conor McGregor, oh, everybody does this is, meatheads or whatever it would be. And and then I think the boys started, a week later?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. After meeting Joe, we knew that whatever he is doing, we were ready to jump in. Just with your charismatic personality, your passion for the sport, it was just everything that we wanted our children to model after. And so tell us, how long have you been doing jiu-jitsu?
It'll be 20 years this year. Yeah, 20 years in September. So kindergarten, same week, jiu-jitsu, and 20 years.
So you started when you were 6 years old. Now, you told me once about a story how you saw a UFC fight when you were young. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so for anybody that doesn't know much about the UFC, now pretty much everybody knows the UFC or mixed martial arts. But originally, it was very underground. There was years where, I think it was 1995, it was banned. It was only legal. They were doing it on pay-per-view only, and it was, there was no gloves or anything. And I discovered it shortly after that. I think it was 2000 or 2002 at Blockbuster. It was in the special interest section. So, you have all the inappropriate videos they can't advertise, and then next to it was the UFC. And
just the section you want to go to as a kid.
Yeah, absolutely. And I popped in a VHS and I watched, and my eyes were like this, and the antics after the fight, I was like, I'm not supposed to be watching this. But actually seeing it, I was like, that's it. That's it. And I always joke, if you see the Avengers or the Captain America movie, the first one, he's like, before he goes out, he's only been acting. He's only been on stage, and he has that routine where he punches Hitler in the face. And when he goes into his first battle, he's like, oh, don't worry, I beat up Adolf Hitler over 200 times. And I always laugh at that because growing up, every time before we fight, I'll joke around and be like, oh, I beat up Chuck Liddell 200 times. Don't worry, because I had the little aqua stand punching bag, and I didn't know much about throwing my hands, so I would take it off of that, put it on the ground, and just ground and pound it. And pretty much every single day when I wasn't at practice. And I think I kind of knew then, this is it, and I didn't know how I was going to get there or what was going to be, but I knew that was going to be in some way, shape, or form, that's my life for the rest of my life. I had 10, so.
Absolutely, and that's exactly why I wanted to do the interview today with Joe, is because very infrequently do you meet somebody who decides at such a young age what their life path is going to be, and just stays on course, and everything going on in their life never stood in the way of the dream. And I know that you went through some trials and tribulations through this process. You were in college, and then you decided you wanted to fight for a career, so you had to choose and how you wanted to do it. And so you have been fighting for 3 years now?
Yeah, it'll be three and some change. Yeah, not very long at all. I think it'll be 3 years as a professional in the fall. So yeah, less than 3 years as a pro, even a year as an amateur.
Yes, absolutely. And I still remember the very, very first amateur fight that we were going to. Yeah. And he was on stage, and he knocked it out of the park. And at that moment, we knew that this kid was going somewhere. It was so neat.
Yeah.
So a couple weeks ago, Joe got some really, really great news. And tell me about what that news is.
So I'm going to be on the Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series. For people that don't know, Dana White is the president of the UFC. So he holds his own 10-week series where I'll only be on one of the weeks. So every week he holds 5 fights. And you go out to a small venue in Vegas, and he's there with the matchmakers. And basically they use it as a almost like a farm system to grab new talent. So guys leave with UFC contracts. A lot of guys leave with UFC contracts. Some guys leave with like developmental deals where you're on the roster but you're not, and get a few more wins. Some guys just, some guys win and don't get signed and they go on to other big, they go on to Bellator or wherever. And then some people lose and go to the back of the line. But I've seen it in my own teammates and stuff that guys can get back to the series. I have one guy I know this year is going back this year, so he was on there before. So either way, it seems like good things come out of this series. It's pretty young. It's like a year old, or maybe 2 seasons they've done. So I'll be on the 3rd. Yeah, I'll be on this summer, midsummer.
Yeah. So basically, you were right there, right on the cusp of getting your dream job, your dream career, everything you've ever wanted out of life is, 8 weeks away?
Yeah.
So that is very, very inspiring, especially for little kids. A lot of times we're discouraged as we're growing up to say, oh, you know what, that's not traditional, or you should fit into this small little box, and everything that you do, if you do outside of what's the normal is expected of you, is looked down upon and shunned. And that's something that I really, really want to start embracing and start encouraging, is for people to follow their dreams, to speak it out. We need to be able to celebrate each other's wins. Yeah. I know one thing that we are so proud of you, your hard work and your dedication. If you've never met Joe, he is the quietest, sweetest person you will ever meet, except for when he goes in that ring. Yeah. And as soon as he's in the ring, it's like, it's on, it's showtime. And it is really, it's cool to watch you go to work.
Thank you.
It truly is.
I always say, like, either I in my mind, I'm like, I know that guy better than anybody, because when you're under pressure, you can just be whoever you want to be. Like in that moment, anything's acceptable. Unfortunately, we see people act a little crazy, but in that moment, nothing's right or wrong. There's literally, that's 15 minutes a break from reality. You don't have to, you can be polite, but you don't have to be polite. You don't have to be, you really don't have to do anything anybody tells you, because for 15 minutes, you can just go out there and it's just you and another person, and you just worry about the moment. And I think people don't get that enough in life, is 15 minutes to just worry about what you do. If you work in an office and that's your career, you still have to worry about the phone's ringing or someone's here, but you get to just focus in on what you do for, it's only a small portion of time, but I don't think people get to feel that feeling very often. So you can just kind of just get to, you almost forget about everything else, which is, I wish everybody could feel that.
It's freeing.
Absolutely.
Absolutely freeing. Another thing that a lot of people take for granted is the hard work that goes into accomplishing your dream. Sometimes, especially in social media, Facebook, Instagram, people look at the highlight reels. All they focus on is, oh, this guy's on the big show. Oh, he was just lucky. He got the break. And majority of the time, unless you're a lotto winner, there is no luck involved. It's hard work, it's skill, dedication, sacrifice. Those are the things that truly, truly make a winner. For example, Joe, how many times a day are you in the gym?
Oh, yeah. I at least take 2 trips to the gym every day, like in my car, but I train probably 4 times a day. So I'll take maybe little breaks, but 4 individual sessions. 3 would be the least. But I'm getting in the car to and from the gym at least twice and doing 4 sessions, for sure. Every day, but Saturday's a hard sparring day, and then, so that's just that, and then Sunday's rest. But so.
Well, and also in 2 different states.
Yeah.
You train in South Carolina and North Carolina gyms.
Absolutely.
Because you're doing what it takes to make sure that you're a well-rounded fighter.
Yeah, absolutely. This camp in particular is going to be 2 days at home, 2 days down here in Myrtle Beach, and then 2 days, more than likely, at least every other week, if not every week, up in Charlotte at Jimmo. So I'll probably see wife and the dogs maybe like two days a week, but.
And that's what I'm talking about. That's
absolutely.
what sacrifice is.
Absolutely.
And the beauty about it is that you do have a support system. Now, one thing that we need to make sure that we focus on is whether it's your friend, your spouse, your family, you need support systems in your life in order to be successful. There is no one-man show. We all have to build each other up. You need to, outsource your weaknesses, work on your strengths, and surround yourself with people who are going to love as well as complement what your skill sets are. For example, you have your wife, Casey.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you guys got married last year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And on date 2, she got the spiel of, and I wasn't fighting, I was just competing in jiu-jitsu. And because fighting seemed so far off for me personally, I had to go through some things to be able to fight. My short-term goal was, win a world title in jiu-jitsu. And, that entails the same amount of work that goes into mixed martial arts. I think there's some factors in it that are easier. No offense to anybody that's a world champion in jiu-jitsu, but, it's really hard work on your body and your mind, but you're not getting punched in the face, and they don't keep a record. So that's the 2 things that take a little bit of pressure off, but it's still, to be the best in the world at anything, it's grueling. And I kind of explained that to her, on date 2. Because at that point, love is love, and I knew I was in love, but if I'm not going to give up what I've loved for 20 years for, someone that I just met. So I dropped the gauntlet then and there, and then, I think 2 weeks later, I took my first fight, and she knew that, and she was willing to accept that, and she was willing to put up with all of it, and sees the result, and sees the potential result, which is, a good life ahead, quite possibly at the result of fighting, and I got into it, like you said, the first amateur fight, there was all this buzz, and I wasn't thinking about anything. I didn't even think about losing that fight, 'cause I didn't know what to expect. And then it's like the more and more you go, you learn the harsh side of the sport and the harsh side of chasing your dreams. It's a long journey. That confidence can go away really quick, and I've been on the receiving end of some beatings, and you feel like you're at the very, very bottom and you can't see the end. And, it seems to be, especially this recent fight, my tagline for Casey has been, she's seen the vision when I couldn't see it, and that's really important. But it's not, and she's amazing, but then it's just support system in general. Like, I had a high school teacher that said, he had a prayer, and basically he was saying, Lord, lead me to choose not what is easy, but what is right. Not what is popular, but what is true. But my favorite part was the last part. He said, for I am the sum total of all that I choose. And I think a little cliff note, if that's 1, then 1A is I'm the sum total of who I choose, like the people that you're around. Because, my instructor growing up, John Hassett, always said, if you hang out with 5 broke people, you're going to be the 6th. If you hang out with 5 people that do drugs, you're going to be the 6th guy on drugs. If you hang out with 5 successful people and positive people that bring you up, well, you're going to be that successful person. You're going to be bringing other people up. And I have that. And I've had that in people that have found me, people that I've found, and people that are has meshed into like a family that aren't family. I think that's really special. I think I'm the vehicle out there doing whatever I'm doing. But it's the sum total of a bunch of people's efforts, you guys included. And I think that is something that you can bring into, they ever hear like when they say like in basketball there's 12 guys, right? But the 13th man is the fans. I think the second person in there with me is all that energy of all those people's efforts. You do feel that when you walk out there, at least I do. So.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And that's a big thing too. I mean, if you have naysayers that are constantly in your corner, it's hard to block them out and to just say, okay, they don't know what's going on, I need to do this. And there's always going to be those people who are working against you. Yeah. But that's something that's really neat, that you have found such a good core group of people to surround yourself with that support you in your mission. Yeah. I mean, win or lose, we still love you.
Absolutely.
And that's at the end of the day, that's what matters.
Yeah, and I mean, I've had those people that are closest to me in some way, shape, or form. I've had teammates, training partners, coaches, family members, whatever. I've had so many people, so many being like maybe 5, not hundreds, but people that you really value their opinion. I think that's the toughest part about chasing a dream, is those people, out of maybe protecting you, wanting to protect you from reaching high and falling low, may try and protect you from giving up too much, or people that maybe you outgrow in your personal life. I've had a lot of people stick a finger in my face that I value their opinion and say, you're going to be nothing, and don't look for me when you're nothing, because I'm done with you right now, and I think anybody that does anything great is going to face that, and or goes for anything great, but the same thing I always go back to is, if you get there and it doesn't work out, well, at least you were there. Or if you fail, the Teddy Roosevelt, you fail while daring greatly. I'd rather fail daring greatly than never go for anything. Yeah, I my whole life thing, especially in fighting, is I want the truth. I can live with not being good enough, but I can't live with. I don't want to be the guy at a bar stool in 30 years going, oh, if I only did this, because I'll know that's not true. I'll know I had every chance, you know, I could have made this decision to cut my ties with everything and go for it, and I didn't. Well, then you can't sit back and say I could have done this or I would have done this if only. Well, I don't want any what ifs. You know, I want to face it. And if I'm not good enough, that's okay. Then you're still going to be great in your effort. There's no way.
Yes.
There's no way around that.
And you know what? I really like what you just said, that you don't want any what ifs. And if you're not good enough, that's okay.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
you're still doing what you want and what you've dreamed of doing and what you love to do.
Yeah, and I'm going to support other people in their quest because I know what great things you can do when you commit, but also I don't have any unresolved issues with myself, you know, and I know that you know, I'm never going to be jealous of anyone or this or that or, you know, want to bring anybody down because I'm going to know that, you know, I just wasn't good enough or I was good enough or whatever it might be. Or if I get injured and I can't fight, well, I can live with that because that's what you know, that was your plan for your life. I think God has a plan for everyone, you know, whatever you believe in. But, you know, if that's the plan for your life, that's the plan for your life. But I can live with that. I want the truth. I don't want to hide behind my own, you know, everybody has insecurities and fears. Everyone gets to the point where you're like, oh, I have this big opportunity. Do I want to take it or not? You know, is it going to suck? It's going to be nerve-wracking. It's going to be, yeah. But I want to, on the other side of that is the truth. And it might be good and it may be bad, but you can live your life freely. You can ride off in the sunset either way, you know. So. Yeah,
and I have this new gut check that I'm doing. So anytime that something starts to scare me or I start feeling shaky or my hands are like this, I'm like, you know what? I'm on the verge of doing something really awesome. And that's kind of like my gut check, like I said, to step forward and leap for it.
Yeah.
And I think fear is something that holds a lot of people back, whether it's fear of failure, fear of success. I mean, that's real too. It's like, well, if I accomplish my dream, what's next?
Yep, absolutely.
And it could be like a huge letdown in some people's mind. But when we let fear dictate what we're doing, we're unable to grow as a person. We're unable to give our unique gifts to the world.
Absolutely.
And you were blessed with such a talent, and you're meant to be in the ring. You're meant to be on the stage. Let me tell you. And I truly, truly am grateful to be a part of your journey.
I'm grateful that you guys are. Absolutely. Yeah, I think fear is. I read a book by Teddy Atlas lately. He's a great boxing coach. And I think they kind of stole this for Rocky V, I'm not sure. But he said, you know, he was holding pads for a famous mobster, I can't remember who it was, because he's from New York, and he was calling it fear. He was telling the guy he was afraid of something. The guy got real pissed. I'm not afraid of anything. He said, well, fear is like a fire. And he was like, yeah, let's call it fire. We'll call it that. You know, because he didn't want to use that fear word, but he said, everyone has it, it's how you use it, right? So I think the thing with me is, my biggest thing, especially like 20 minutes before a fight, 15 minutes, I acknowledge that I'm afraid. That's a real that's part of the process. That's emotion. Anyone that says they're not either doesn't care enough, maybe they're a sociopath, but or you're just lying, you know. And I think that's more of the case, is that I'm not afraid, you know, without fear there's no bravery. You know, if you're not afraid, then you're not accomplishing anything good. You know, it's easy to do the safe thing every day if you're not afraid. You know, I think the hardest thing is everything great is on the other side. So like, why wouldn't I want to acknowledge I'm afraid, because that makes what I'm about to do even greater. You know, Absolutely. If I say I'm afraid, well, now I beat my opponent and I beat fear and I beat the crowd and all my anxiety and everything else, and that makes it great. It's not just going out there and doing something. That doesn't make anything great, you know?
It seems like when you embrace fear or any powerful emotion, it actually empowers you to be that much stronger, to go that much further, to push yourself.
Yeah, it's like an old friend, you know, when you feel that fire in your gut, you're like, oh, like, you know, if you avoid it all your life, then when it hits and you're in that great moment, you know, I've seen all the time, guys don't want to compete, and even in like local jiu-jitsu tournaments, they don't want to do the local ones because you might run into a guy from another school, you know, or you might, your family might be able to come out because it's local, but they'll go out to the Worlds, you know, because if they lose at the Worlds, well, it's no big deal. But the problem is, if you don't compete every month leading up to the Worlds,
you're not going to be successful.
You get that fire in your belly. That's a stranger, you know. That's somebody holding you up in an alley with a gun, you know. But when you feel it, and you've faced all your fears for years leading up to it, it's like, oh, what's up, old friend? You know, like that's a familiar feeling. Like, oh, this guy's back. He's a clown. Like, you know, this guy messes with my stomach and makes me go to the bathroom, but he's harmless. Yeah, exactly. You know, and I think that's the biggest thing, is just getting over that fear. And really, it's fear and ego. You know, if you're afraid to lose, I mean, I hate losing more than anybody, but you know, the sun's gonna come up the next day.
You don't appreciate the wins without the losses.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And really, it's all just fear of the unknown. You know, for me, until I lost, I was so afraid of like, what if I this, what if I that, and you know, I lost. I was like, oh, yeah, it wasn't that bad. And then my other fear was getting knocked out. You know, and I got knocked out. I was like, oh,
I woke up.
I feel it's embarrassing, but it's not anything that I'm not willing to go through again to get what I want. You know, so you're really afraid of all these things that either aren't going to happen, or when they happen, you're still fine, you know. And I think people,
You
when
come out
people
on the other
realize
side.
that, yeah, and between support system and everything else, like when you cut ties with fear and you look at it and go, like, you're not going to let yourself down, you know what I mean? Like when there's nothing to go back to, you got to keep going, you know. And then if you have a support system, they're not going to let you down either, you know. And I'm proof of that for sure.
Absolutely. So now that you are this close from obtaining your biggest dream, your wildest dreams coming true, what could you say to other people about encouraging them to go after their dreams?
Yeah, I mean, obviously just to do it, but you know, but people do that and then they stop, you know. Like there's the song that I walk out to has like a lyric, and he says like he can't see home for miles, and like even if he wanted to turn, I can't rap, so, but he says like, you know, even if he wanted to go home, he wouldn't know how to get there because he's so far gone from where he started, you know. And I think that's the thing is like, you're already going, go, you know. It's gonna get tough, go. You're gonna lose or whatever it might be. You're gonna, you know, your business failed, whatever it is, go. You know, someone's gonna tell you can't, okay, go. Unless, you know, if it's people that care about you, then maybe you really are doing something harmful. But if you have a dream, it's probably not a harmful thing, you know. If all your basic needs are met, then why not go for it? You know, this is 2019. Like, this is not, I mean, we're doing this right now, you know. Information's out there, people are out there. Like, I had this dream before my first amateur fight, and I was telling my wife, like, this is my plan. I want to get here. I want to do this. I want to do that. And I didn't even know the path that was going to be, but I knew I wanted it enough that whatever it was going to be, I'm going to do the work, you know. So I think really make sure you want it and then go, you know, and keep people around that are going to check you, and people that are going to check you in both ways. Check you when you're getting too high and check you when you're getting too low, you know, because I mean, I've sat in this office with you guys and been like, it's done. I'm just, I don't know, and this and that. I lost again, you know. And, you know, I've had like snap out of it, dude. Like, you can do this, you know. And but also on the other end is, and I don't think I've ever had this problem, but because of people that are around me, but you start to get too high and people keep you in check, you know. And I think that the balance is everything, and just literally trudging through, you know, all that crap to get there. You know, it's like the end of Shawshank Redemption. He's got to crawl. He's got to crawl through that tunnel of literal feces. But he knows on the other side is freedom for everything he wants. You know, freedom from actual prison, but this is like fear and doubt and anxiety and all that stuff. I'll trudge through that. It's disgusting, but we're gonna get there. You know, it's a hard route.
Because the rewards are remarkable.
Yeah, if you have a vacation booked in Disney World and you hit a traffic jam, you're not gonna turn around and go home. Yeah, like the reward. You're like, oh well, it's gonna stink today, but these next 5 days are gonna be awesome. You know, the rest of your life's gonna be great. So go for it. You know, I don't understand. I don't. Yeah, I couldn't imagine living any other way. You know.
Yes, I agree, and that's exactly why I wanted Joe to come in today to do a brief interview for you guys so that you can see the passion, the drive, as well as the confidence in knowing that you can attain your dreams too. It's not going to come easy. You're going to hit a bunch of milestones, a bunch of bumps in the road, a bunch of haters, people who want to see you fail because it only makes them feel better. But you just have to remember, those that are trying to drag you down are already below you. And those that are trying to lift you up and support you will be there. Rely on them when you need to. Hone in on them, call them, have that relationship there. So when you are feeling doubtful about your dreams and yourself, allow those people to be part of your life and lift you up. And so again, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. And guys, check out his page. It's Joe Solecki MMA. I'll drop a link in the comment section. That way you can follow him and follow his journey. And then whenever the date is released for the Contender Series, I will make sure to post up so that you guys can follow. Because Joe's the next best thing. So watch out. Keep your eye on this kid. Bye.